Hello everyone, welcome to day 3, the final day of West Coast Weekend, the marathon event showcasing speedrunning talent of the West Coast. I am your West Coast host, SmoothOperative, and I hope everyone has had a fantastic weekend so far. We've got another full lineup for you today with some great games, great speedrunners. You can type !schedule at any point today in chat to see what we have planned for you. Kicking things off today, I have speedrunner gymnast86 with Ocarina of Time 3D for the Nintendo 3DS. Welcome to the marathon. How are you?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm doing pretty good. It's a nice Sunday here in Southern California, and I am excited to begin playing The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D for you guys.
This is an absolutely beautiful game, and so I'm very excited to see this run. So whenever you are ready, we got you on the timer.
All right, sounds good. Also, I do agree it is a very beautiful game. We will be seeing many colorful spots today, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
All right. If we are ready, then, we can begin in 3, 2, 1, start.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. All right, so The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. This game is a remake of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the N64. It is remade for the 3DS console, or the 3DS family of consoles. Specifically today, I am playing on a Nintendo 2DS XL of the white and orange variety. So I actually can't make the game in 3D for myself, but that's okay. The 3D doesn't actually help with anything as far as speedrunning goes. But this being a remake, there obviously are a few changes that it has. It's not just a carbon copy of the original game. This game runs at 30 frames per second compared to the original game's 20 frames per second. So if you're used to watching the original game, 3D might look a bit too smooth for you. And we also have updated graphics. Text speed in this game is a lot faster than the original game. Most of the gameplay mechanics and puzzles and all that sort of stuff is pretty faithful to the original game. There's only a few minor changes that we actually won't really be seeing here in the 3DS version. Going off of text, though, the text in this game, as I mentioned, is significantly faster than in the original title. But there's actually an exploit that we can do with the text in this game called quick text, where if I press the B button on a specific frame as a text box tries to begin initializing itself and scrolling across the box, the entire string of text in the box will just display instantly. And that works for pretty much any text box that isn't in a shop and isn't black text on a white background. So it allows us to save quite a bit of time just on text alone, which is kind of interesting. But because each of the quick text inputs is frame perfect, it also means that you can actually end up losing a lot of time to text if you are comparing against a PB that got lots of quick text and you're not really feeling the quick text today. So it's interesting that even in this run, you have to be very wary and very attentive even while there's text going on in a cutscene. But if you do it all correctly, then, the cutscenes will be significantly faster than they would be otherwise. So whenever you see text boxes flash by instantly, that's usually quick text. There are some text boxes that are programmed to intentionally scroll by immediately if you press the A or B buttons, but most of the time we don't really see those text boxes. So a majority of the text in this run will hopefully be proper quick text. All right, now Link has finally woken up, and it's time for him to go and save the Kingdom of Hyrule. The estimate for this run is about 40 minutes. That's a pretty safe estimate, because the current world record is 29 minutes and 2 seconds by Zelda Cubed, and I am just behind that time in second place with a 29:05 as my PB. And if we do everything correctly, we should only have a 30 to 31 minute run on our hands, but there are some tricky tricks in this run that can potentially waste lots of time if we fail them, so that's why we have the extra buffer time on the estimate. Alright, so like any Ocarina of Time speedrun, we're going to get the Kokiri sword first. And then, as far as this run is concerned, that's pretty much all we're going to be doing in the forest for now. We can escape the forest with just the Kokiri sword using a 3DS... Actually, at this point, I don't think it's strictly 3DS exclusive, but for a while it was a 3DS exclusive trick called the triple slash clip. And basically the way it works is you just slash your sword 3 times and then put it away quickly. And that will actually cause Link to take this massive step backwards on the frame you put away your sword. And it's enough speed to clip through like acutely cornered angles, or excuse me, acutely angled corners, English. But it's also good enough to clip through the guard that tries to prevent you from escaping the forest early, as long as our angle is correct. Hopefully we'll line this up correctly. Alright, very good. This first try. And then if we roll, we can get just under him like that and escape the forest. So that escape trick, it's really weird to try and set up because you need to angle the camera in such a way that the guard is not actually on screen. Because if that happens, then if you try to press the A button to put away your sword, you're instead going to talk to the guard, which doesn't allow you to do a triple slash clip. So that's why I was lining up the camera in a weird way. Back there, was just to get the guard off screen. Alright, now we got the fairy ocarina, so Link can finally leave the forest after this cutscene is over. Ocarina is pretty important. It allows us to play songs, and we will need to be playing Zelda's Lullaby a few times in this run. Alright, so as we make our way out to Hyrule Field here, we will be needing to make it to Hyrule Castle before nighttime because, you know, once nighttime comes, then the drawbridge closes up and you have to wait an entire night before you can actually get inside. So we're going to be backwalking across Hyrule Fields. Backwalking over long distances is generally the way that you want to move in this game. It isn't technically the fastest form of movement. The fastest form is frame-perfect side-hopping as Child Link. It's very slightly faster than backwalking, but you only really get the advantage of that if all of the side hops are frame perfect, and like the amount that you would save from doing all those frame perfect side hops and like properly changing your angle and everything isn't really worth it compared to just backwalking, where all you have to do is hold, you know, target and down on the circle pad. I have heard people say, like, when they try running this game for the first time, that like backwalking is hard because the circle pad in this game doesn't have any notches, like, you know, a GameCube or N64 controller does. And that is true, but you get used to it over time, not having notches on the circle pad. At this point, I've generally come to prefer for most general movement actually not having notches because, you know, it's easier to hit like certain spots on the circle pad that would not normally be like the groove of a notch on a classical controller. Alright, so back there with the moat, I got 40 rupees by climbing up the chains and then jumping off. Those will be used to buy a Deku Shield later, because I will be needing a Deku Shield to get through the Deku Tree eventually. Now we have our second encounter with the owl, who really wish we could skip, but unfortunately the owl is a bit too powerful, and we can't quite skip the owl, unfortunately. So right here, I need to reload the Hyrule Castle area for Malon to appear so that I can get the weird egg. The best way to do that is actually to go and get caught by a guard, instead of going in and out of the market, because going in and out of the market will cause, or we will go through 2 loading transitions instead of 1 loading transition with getting caught. And the reason that's slower is because we actually want the day-night cycle to be passing now as much as we can. So if we can have just, you know, 1 transition where the day-night cycle is not passing versus 2 transitions where it's not passing, then that is preferable. And even with taking the extra time to go getting caught once, we can still make it to Talon in time so that we can give him the chicken that's going to hatch out of our egg to wake him up. As long as our movement is good. And also the guards have reduced vision at night. That's how I was able to just, you know, jump and do a jump slash past that last guard. Also want to make sure we don't get caught by these guards, so we just kind of go along the edge of the platform here. I'd hop over to Talon. And then begin pulling the crates. We only need 1 crate to be able to jump to the sewers, so we'll just be pushing this crate as much to the edge as we can, and then we will be using it to jump on over. So we push the crate just as it's about to turn dawn here. And our chicken hatches out of the egg. Talk to Talon for a little bit, and then he'll run away. Now it is time for the guards. So the guards are infamous because they are RNG. The guards will walk around in specific patterns, but how long it takes them to get around their cycle is RNG, so hopefully we don't get caught. We will be attempting to side hop past the first few guards as fast as we can. Sometimes the first one will kind of snipe us through the bushes, though. Hopefully that doesn't happen today. Okay, looks like we're good. Second one's always really easy to get past, so no problems there. Like for this guard, I'll have to wait just a little bit. Oh, he tricked me. Wow. Alright, well, that's okay. We can just try again. Not too much of a time loss. Yeah, the guard, the guard looked one way, and then as I began side hopping over, instantly turned back to look the other way. Again. One thing to note is that you actually can avoid getting caught completely if you do frame-perfect side hops past each guard, because the guards actually cannot catch you if you're not on the ground for only a single frame. Also, this guard RNG right here is not particularly good. I'm gonna wait until the one on the right comes down and then side hop past him, just like this. Alright. Now we've finally made it to the courtyard and we can begin speaking with Zelda. Yeah, so unfortunately we did get caught by the guards once, but this is why we have generous estimates for marathon runs, because we can always make mistakes like that. And then once again, I'm concentrating on trying to have good quick text for this cutscene. So far it's been going pretty good. I've gotten all the big text boxes. I can finally rest for a bit because the next part of this cutscene is scripted. But, you know, getting quick text, for example, during that sequence right there saves probably like 7 or 8 seconds if it's all like perfect quick text over just having the cutscene text scroll by normally. So, is quite a bit of time saved over the course of the whole run just with quick text, as I mentioned earlier. Alright, so the reason that we came here to Zelda, as I mentioned earlier, is because we need to get Zelda's Lullaby, and we also need Zelda's Letter just to gain access to Death Mountain Trail, but Zelda's Lullaby is the important thing, because we are going to be playing Zelda's Lullaby a few times in this run. We're going to be playing Zelda's Lullaby to get magic from the Great Fairy at Death Mountain Trail. We'll also be playing it to get into Zora's Domain, and then we'll be playing it to get into... or not to get into, but to get Ferori's Wind from the Great Fairy at Zora's Fountain. Because pretty much the entire route of this run revolves around being able to get Ferori's Wind as fast as possible, and be able to use it, which is why we also need magic. Because you can't use Ferori's Wind without magic. More quick text for the end of the cutscene here. I missed both of those. It always feels bad when you have, like, you know, a few really long text boxes in a row and then you don't get quick text on any of them and you're just like, ah, well, there goes like 3 seconds. Usually you don't get quick text on the very first box of a sequence because, like, at least for me, the rhythm that I have is based on, like, having previously gotten a quick text on the previous box. So anyway. I've talked quite a lot about text this run, more so than you would probably expect of most speedruns, but the text in this run is important. And now we're learning Zelda's Lullaby. But back to the Ferori's Wind thing. Ferori's Wind is a very broken item in this game, mostly because we have a fairly easy glitch we can perform that allows us to place Ferori's Wind anywhere. And when you have the ability to place Ferori's Wind anywhere, normally the devs only intended for you to be able to place Ferori's Wind in dungeons. So, you know, in Deku Tree, in Forest Temple, and Fire Temple, in those places you can place Ferori's Wind. But they never intended for you to be able to use Ferori's Wind anywhere else. So being able to use Ferori's Wind in other situations causes or allows for us to do certain glitches that are very helpful for completing the game as fast as possible. So that's what we'll be seeing at the end of the run here. Alright, now that we're finally done with our cutscenes, we can begin backwalking once again to Kakariko Village. Get our angle here, turn around, backwalk. The first, like, half of this run is pretty much just dedicated to, you know, escaping the forest and getting Zelda's Lullaby, and then the last half of this run is where we finally start to see a few more interesting things, right? Because so far the only glitch that we've done is the forest escape with the triple slash clip. But once we go through Kakariko Village, show the letter to the guard, and then make our way to Death Mountain Trail, we'll begin to see a lot more things happening very quickly. One of the nice things about the 3DS remake is the ability to use the gyro camera. Yeah, it's a word. The gyro camera. Just like I did back there. It allows me to, like, pan the camera as I'm backwalking and stuff like that. We're not going to see any use of the gyro camera with, like, items in this run, like the slingshot or the hookshot, because we're not going to be getting any of those items, but it is much better for aiming in this game compared to, like, the stick controls. That wasn't particularly great quick text, but oh well. Whenever you get the entire garden sequence of text as quick text all in a row, you feel very powerful because of all the frame-perfect B presses you did in a row. Alright, now that we're on Death Mountain Trail, we're going to be doing a trick called a forward extended super slide. So I'm going to let this Tektite hit me while I'm holding the circle pad just outside of the circle pad's dead zone. And then I'll essentially, this will preserve the momentum from the damage from the Tektite, and so I can use this to climb up Death Mountain Trail and get to Goron City a lot quicker than I'd normally be able to. So, we can make our way into here. And very nice. The pause that I did on the slope was to change my ESS position from the right side of the dead zone to the left side, so that I can begin turning the other way instead. I also want to make sure that I don't take any damage as I fall down Goron City here, because having 2.5 hearts right here, or higher, is important for the next part of the run. So right now, as I'm in Goron City, I'm going to be getting a stick from inside Darunia's room, and I'm going to open up the path from Goron City to Lost Woods. I'm also going to do some weird movement right here, which is to set up for a heap manipulation, which is going to unload the collision of the statue that's behind Darunia, and will essentially allow us to get to Death Mountain Crater afterwards. So, we're seeing a bit more of that. Also actually need to light the stick on fire, that would be useful. So we're backwalking, we're carrying the stick with us. We need to make sure that we light this torch with the stick, otherwise the timer with the torch being lit's gonna run out and the torch is just gonna burn out and simmer away, which we don't want. But lighting up a torch will reset that timer, which is nice. I have to make sure that I keep the bomb flower on screen here and watch the rocks explode, because if I turn the camera around too quickly, then they're not going to be loaded once the bomb flower explodes. Assuming I didn't mess up the heap setup, we just need to side hop twice, turn to the right, slash our swords, and then the collision of this statue will be gone. Alright, very good. So this allows us to get into Death Mountain Crater, and Death Mountain Crater is nice because we can sort of just climb up Death Mountain Crater instead of having to climb up Death Mountain Trail to get up to the Magic Fairy Fountain. Thankfully, with 2.5 hearts or more, we have just enough time to make it to the loading zone that leads to Death Mountain Trail. Going through Death Mountain Crater will skip what would normally be an explosive requirement for getting up to the Great Fairy Fountain. Because normally you need to blow up these 2 rocks that are on the trail to be able to get to the upper part. But thankfully, we don't need to do that with going through Death Mountain Crater. Of course, there's still the wall in front of the Fairy Fountain that you normally need explosives for, but instead, we're going to be jump slashing into the Great Fairy Fountain from out of bounds. So I was able to side hop out of bounds right there. And now I need to get a bit more to the left here. Oh, okay, that actually was too far to the left, so I ended up falling down. That's okay, though. Once we respawn, we'll just respawn at the top of Death Mountain Trail. And we can try that again. I think my angle must have been off, because definitely, with the visual cue I usually use, definitely looked like I wasn't far enough to the left. So let's try this again. Backflip and 2 side hops. Make Link get out of his hunched over animation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Make sure we do the roll. Okay, yeah, this angle looks better. Alright, so I'm gonna get just up here like this. I'm going to turn to face a certain direction. Line up, and then I'm going to attempt to jump slash into the loading zone from out of bounds, and there we go. It is just possible to hit the tip of that loading zone if you fall out of bounds and then do a jump slash back in. So that's how we skip explosives for getting magic early, which is quite a big time save. If we wanted to get explosives, we would have to first go get Saria's song from the Lost Woods, then come back to Darunia, play Saria's song for him to get the Goron bracelet, and then go into Dodongo's cavern, go through most of Dodongo's cavern, and then get the bomb bag to get explosives. And that takes quite a bit. It's like a 10-minute detour almost. So getting the magic like this is much faster. But because we skipped the explosives for getting into this fairy fountain, we also need to skip explosives for getting into the Furore's Wind Fairy Fountain, which is where we're going to be going to next. And so that's going to be a bit of a process once we get there. We'll see exactly how that works too. And good quick text. So the quickest way to get to the Furore's Wind Fairy Fountain is we're going to be doing a save warp. So we're just going to save the game, we're going to quit out, and then we're going to be loading up our file again. Whenever you save and quit as Child Link on the overworld in this game, you will always spawn back at Link's house. And in this case, it's faster to go back to Link's house to get to the Furore's Wind Fountain. Before we go there, though, I'm going to be buying the shields that I mentioned earlier with the 40 rupees that I have. So I'm going to go right over to the Kokiri shop. Yes, 1 Deku shield, please. Thank you very much. The Deku shield is not technically required for this run, but it makes the trick for getting into the Furore's Wind Fountain a lot easier, and also makes Deku Tree a little bit faster. It is definitely preferable to get the shield. Also means we can spam the R button for shield spamming. And who doesn't like good shield spamming? Gives us something to do while we're back walking. Okay, so the way we're going to get to Zora's Domain is we're going to do a Navi dive through the Lost Woods. So the Lost Woods has, you know, different warps to various locations in the game. One of those is Zora's River, and thankfully the exit point out into Zora's River is right in front of Zora's Domain. So we're going to be doing this trick called a Navi dive. It works kind of similarly to the triple slash clip. I'm essentially going to be slashing my sword 3 times and then calling Navi once she finally appears on the top left of the touchscreen here. And then after I call Navi, Link is once again going to kind of just teleport backwards. And because he's in a cutscene, he's just going to ignore water physics, which will allow him to dive. And then once the cutscene is over with Navi's text, we can swim into the loading zone to get out here to Zora's River. There's small optimization here with jump slash like that, so we don't have to climb back up out of the water. Make sure we wait a little bit longer before playing Zelda's Lullaby. There's this weird delay you have to wait for when playing an ocarina in specific spots to make sure that the music staff comes up first before you begin playing notes. I was a little bit too quick there. Okay, now we can get into Zora's Fountain. Or excuse me, Zora's Domain. Zora's Fountain is next after this. So normally, if you want to, you know, get past King Zora and get to Zora's Fountain, you need to first get the Silver Scale, and then using the Silver Scale, go get Ruto's letter from Lake Hylia. We're not going to do that. We're instead going to do another triple slash clip after I get some additional Deku Nuts and Deku Sticks from that pot right there. We do side hops up this slope because side hops, once again, are generally better up or down slopes than back walking. Alright, so we're going to line up with this torch on the right side. I'm going to slash my sword 3 times and put it away, and this will clip us through the acute angle of that wall right there. And then using the water that's in this area, we can swim up to the loading zone to get past King Zora just like this. Now, thankfully, getting back past King's Ore is easy because we can just save warp once we get Furore's Wind, so we don't have to worry about coming back through there. But now, we need to get Furore's Wind without explosives. So there's this very interesting thing, I guess I could say, that appears in the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time called an invisible seam, right? So, what we're going to do here is I'm going to try to climb the invisible seam that's in this area to get up and out of bounds on top of the fairy fountain. So to get on the seam, I need to backwalk very slowly from a specific position. And once I do it correctly, Link will kind of just like pop up in the air. But I do need to backwalk as slowly as possible. Oh, no, I still missed it. I need to hold a very precise downward position on the circle pad. Oh, still a bit too fast. There we go. Okay. So Link's up on the seam, but the seam goes much higher than this, so I'm going to angle up, and then I'm going to hold very slightly forward on the control stick, and Link is going to go up and up. And then once we're at the top of the seam, we can backwalk and get up onto the top of the fountain here. Now from here, I'm going to attempt to line myself up in a specific position and then do a jump slash clip down to clip through the wall in front of the fountain. So we're just setting up for that position right here. I'm going to home buffer so that I can hold a direction and press B at the same time so that I can fall down and then get into the correct position to initiate the jump slash clip. So that was very good. Now, except for getting on the seam. Getting on the seam wasn't good, but the rest of that was fine. So that allows us to get Furore's Wind without explosives, and that was one of the most recent tricks discovered for any percent in this game. You know, for a long time, the any percent run of this game was about, like, just a little under 40 minutes because it had to go through the whole process of getting explosives that I mentioned earlier. But with the discovery of being able to get Furore's Wind without explosives, and obviously being able to get magic without explosives as well, those both happened about a year ago at this point, or at least the Furore's Wind one did. I don't think I quite remember when the early magic one happened, but the important one, which was Furore's Wind, happened about a year ago, and was able to cut down the any percent speedrun by about 8 minutes compared to what it previously was. So it was a pretty big discovery for this game at the time, and it also helped save time in other categories of the game as well. Because due to how broken Furore's Wind is, all of the other categories of this game pretty much use Furore's Wind in the same context that this run does. It's just that this run pretty much ends a few minutes after getting Furore's Wind compared to the other categories. Anyway, after that ramble, now that we have Furore's Wind, we can begin using it, of course. We're going to be going back to Goron City here so that we can place Furore's Wind, right? Because as I mentioned, we do have a glitch to place Furore's Wind pretty much wherever we want. So we're going to be abusing that here. And to get back to Goron City, we're going to go through the Lost Woods, because I opened up the path between Lost Woods and Goron City back when we went there the first time. So I specifically need to exit Goron City first after coming in this way, and then re-enter from the Death Mountain Trail entrance, because where I set Furore's Wind needs to be very specific. It can't just be, you know, anywhere in Goron City. I'm going to try to do a small optimization here. If I jump slash into this loading zone, and then manage to go into it without walking or moving, then I won't move forward when I spawn out here, which will make it faster to get back. Anyway, now we're going to do the glitch that allows us to use Furore's Wind anywhere. It's a glitch called Restricted Items. So basically in this game, if you have an item that would normally be restricted when you try to use it, meaning that it's dimmed out and, like, you know, trying to press it will just result in the, like, rejected item sound. If you equip that item over a button that isn't restricted at the moment, so right back there I equipped Furore's Wind over the X button, the item will be usable for a single frame only once you return from the menu screen. So using that, we can pretty much just place Furore's Wind wherever we want with the restricted items glitch. It is frame perfect though, so sometimes, you know, you might not get it first try, but only takes a little bit of practice to be able to do. one more Deku stick here as we head off to the Deku tree. So the real reason we're coming to the Deku tree is because the Deku tree has a blue warp at the end of it. And we would like the blue warp because we can exploit the blue warp with Ferori's Wind to perform a credits warp in this game. So the 80% run of this game, as well as the all dungeons and 100% categories all do wrong warps to the credits to finish off their runs. Because that's generally an accepted form of game completion in the Ocarina of Time 3D speedrunning community. One of the justifications we have for that is that by wrong warping to the credits, you actually will unlock Master Quest mode in this game. Because Master Quest mode normally unlocks once you've already beaten the game once, and so, you know, if the game believes that it's being beaten, you know, after we've done a wrong warp to the credits, we're like, alright, well, that's kind of good enough for us. Alright. I'm trying to get past these wall sculptulas here, because I need to go break the web at the bottom, but it's being a little bit difficult. Okay, so thankfully that one at the top wasn't too difficult. I use a Deku Nut to stop that sculptula, and now I'm gonna break the web and begin climbing the vines up again to this level. I'm gonna be doing a trick called a Mega Side Hop off of this Deku Baba right here, if I can time it correctly. There we go. And using the Mega Side Hop, I can actually fall down into the basement at such a position that I'll actually end up breaking the second web that's in the basement to get down to this part of the Deku tree. It's a very cool trick. It's not technically the fastest way to do basement one skip, but I think it looks really cool, which is why I did it here today. Alright, now we've made it into Goma's room. The metaphorical final boss of the game for the 80% speedrun. But Goma's not a particularly difficult boss. All it's going to take is a Deku Nut and a few Deku Stick jump slashes, or a few Deku Stick slashes to be able to get rid of her. We're actually going to be using the broken Deku Stick glitch so that we can use one Deku Stick as many times as we want here. It's pretty easy to perform on Goma. It's just you jump slash Goma and you pretty much get the broken Deku Stick glitch right away. And then with, you know, a few consecutive slashes, Goma's dead. Alright, so we might be coming up on time here, depending on if I get the final trick to wrong warp to the credits first try. So what I'm going to be attempting to do is I'm going to first do a somewhat weird setup here and save the game. I'm going to side hop to the left twice, set up my inventory for restricted items, and here I'm trying to home buffer so that I might be able to make sure I get the correct frame for the restricted items. Unfortunately, I've got the frame before restricted items and then the frame after restricted items, so I have to reset the game and try again now. This is definitely probably the hardest trick in the entire run, is the wrong warp at the end right here. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use Ferori's Wind at the same time as Link enters into the blue warp. And once we do this Mega Side Hop again, finish this painting. There we go. Nice camera angle though. I was not expecting to get that really cool. Yeah, but anyway. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to use Ferori's Wind at the same time as we get warped away with the blue warp. And I'll explain exactly what happens here once we finally achieve this. I do another lineup. Alright, so this is the correct frame. So now I can use Ferori's Wind as we're going into the blue warp. And right as the camera pans out here, I can return Ferori's Wind, which is time right there. And this is going to wrong warp us into the credit sequence of, or specifically the credit sequence that takes place during Goron City. Of, like, you know, the entire credit sequence here. So Ferori's Wind was placed at Goron City, right? And we returned to Goron City just as we were warped away with the blue warp there. The first time you go through a blue warp out of the Deku tree, or out of any dungeon really, the game attempts to take whatever entrance the blue warp sends you to, and it attempts to add a value to that to get the proper dungeon ending cutscene that you only get the first time you beat a dungeon. But what happened in this case is, instead of the Deku tree blue warp taking us to Kokiri Forest like it's normally supposed to do, we used Ferori's Wind to overwrite that entrance to Goron City. So instead, the game added the value to Goron City, which just so happens to lead to the credits sequence in Goron City instead. So that's how we complete Ocarina of Time 3D in however long it took me to complete. I actually don't have a timer up. Okay, it looks like it was 32:37.
Yeah, 32:37, and well done, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much. But yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt your commentary, but I know you definitely, it shows that you know this game exceptionally well, but I had kind of a random question. It seemed like there was kind of a lot of like backwards, walking, running. Do you ever find that disorienting, or does the mini map like help with that?
No, the backwalking isn't generally disorienting because like I have a pretty good mental map of what each map looks like, and there are certain visual cues that we have as we're backwalking to like know exactly where we are just by seeing like what everything looks like in front of us. So
okay.
Yeah, so, it's not particularly hard to get used to, I don't think.
Well, and you've probably been doing this for a long time. How long have you been speedrunning Ocarina of Time?
Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, I believe I began learning either in late 2013 or early 2014. I actually don't remember, but it has been a while since I began learning it, yeah.
Can I ask what got you into speedrunning, just in general?
Oh, yeah. My first step into speedrunning actually came from my interactions with a fellow Minecraft player on a Zelda-themed Minecraft server when I was like 14 years old. And
nice.
He was like, hey, we should try this speedrunning thing. It looks really cool. And I was like, I don't know about this. This looks like it's really difficult and hard to do. And, it is, but I'm really glad he made me try it out because I love it. So.
I think that's pretty awesome. And actually, like, what is this speedrunning thing? Like, how many of you are new to speedrunning here in the chat? Have you been watching speedrunning for a long time? Have you been doing it a while? So all weekend, I have been asking everyone what their favorite thing about living in the West Coast is. But today, I kind of thought I would shake things up a bit and ask you, Gymnast, what is your favorite place in Ocarina of Time 3D? And will you show it to us? Can we sightsee?
Oh, what is my favorite place? Let's see. Ooh, actually, yeah, I know where we can go.
Let's take a little Twitch tour.
We'll have to leave the Lon Lon Ranch dance party.
The dance party.
There is one area in this game that I think is particularly beautiful. There are a number of beautiful places in this game, but I think this one personally takes the cake for me. So. Load up this file and we can go over to it. It's in the Sacred Forest Meadow. And we can go and see that. Although to answer the other question, the thing I like about living in California is the weather.
Oh yeah, that's the big answer.
Yeah, growing up here, I've definitely been very spoiled by having nice coastal weather where I live, so... I'm that person who, will begin complaining that it's too cold when it gets to be, 60 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And then, everyone else just looks at me and they're like, what? Like this is shorts weather. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, Snow and I don't agree with each other either.
Yeah, that's definitely a big mood for me also. I don't like snow.
I think another popular answer was the food. A lot of people said that some of their favorite foods are on the West Coast, a lot of good seafood and things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good food here as well. I can definitely agree with that. All right, so here we are. This is my favorite place in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. You never get to see this place in speedruns, but it's just this grotto that, looks so beautiful. Hidden away here in the Sacred Forest Meadow, just, with the way the walls, texture and sparkle with each other. Obviously this place isn't useful for a speedrun, because it's just... all you can really do here is fight a bunch of Wolfos and get, a chest that has a purple rupee in it. So, not very important for, even the 100% speedrun to pick up. But, yeah, I think that this place looks pretty cool. In the original game, there's kind of, this rainbow texture along the wall, but I think they did a very good job with remastering it in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I noticed, just how different it looks compared to N64.
Yeah, the graphics were definitely updated, and I think they look a lot better personally. Some people still prefer the original graphics because I think there is like a good nostalgia value to them, especially if you played Ocarina of Time at a young age.
I actually didn't play Ocarina of Time, but I had a friend that was really obsessed with Ocarina of Time. So it's like I've seen a lot of the game, but I haven't personally played it myself. I really need to do that.
Well, yeah, I can definitely attest that it is a very good game. Also a very fun speed game.
Do you think it's easy to like hop into Ocarina of Time right away? Like, as if that was like someone's first Zelda game, like would that be a good idea?
I would say that hopping into Ocarina of Time, just to be clear, this is coming from someone who hasn't really played much of the original game, and I'm answering this question as if you're talking about the original game. So the Ocarina of Time community is definitely the biggest, or is one of the biggest Zelda speedrunning communities. Definitely the biggest 3D Zelda speedrunning community. So if you jump into Ocarina of Time, you know, there will be lots of help available for you if you want to enter into that community. I'm sure there's tutorials for pretty much everything imaginable in the game that you could need to know about for whatever route or category you want to run. So I imagine it's probably a pretty good one for a beginner to maybe jump into.
Nice. So the community is like pretty welcoming if anyone was interested.
Oh yeah, like at least most of the 3D Zelda speedrunning communities that I'm a part of are fairly welcoming, I think. Or at least I like to think so.
That's good. One other thing that I think is pretty amazing about Ocarina of Time is the soundtrack. Do you have any favorite songs from the game?
Oh, definitely the Spirit Temple. Guess I actually have the Warp song. We can go listen to the Spirit Temple music right now.
Yeah, let's go listen to the Spirit Temple. I really like the Fairies Fountain theme, and it was really funny because back in the day, so my mother is a harpist actually, and I gave her the music for Fairies Fountain. I said, Mom, can you please play this? And she's like, what is this? Oh, okay, sure. So she starts like playing it on the harp, and then I just took like a little nap on the couch. I'm like, oh, this is so cozy.
Oh, that's so sweet. No, yeah, I definitely can see the Fairy Fountain music on a live harp doing that.
Oh, yeah. Fun times. I gotta see if I can't get her to learn the Spirit Temple next.
Well, yeah, the Spirit Temple might be a little more complicated. It's, I'm really bad at trying to figure out what instruments are playing, but it's a little more complex than the Fairy Fountain theme.
Do you think that this game, did it ever inspire you to like get an ocarina and give it a go?
Oh no, nothing like that, unfortunately.
I bet some of you in chat are guilty of owning ocarinas because of this game.
I have seen people playing an ocarina before, playing the songs from this game though, so I've definitely seen that a few times.
Oh yeah. So I'm sure you get asked this question all the time, but you know, from your screen name, Gymnast86, are you a gymnast?
Yes, I used to do gymnastics. I made the username when I was 12, so I made the username
Sticks.
About 10 years ago, actually.
So it just sticks. Nice.
Yeah.
So you don't do it so much anymore. Do you have any other hobbies outside of speedrunning?
I mean, right now, unfortunately, with like the coronavirus pandemic, I'm mostly just stuck at home speedrunning, so not particularly at the moment.
Honestly, that's fair.
Yeah. So, you know, lots of speedrunning, lots of glitch hunting, lots of hanging out with friends in Discord, just playing various games.
You have to boot up the Zelda Minecraft again.
I have played Minecraft a few times, but my friends definitely get ahead of me in Minecraft a lot more than I do.
Oh yeah, that's the tough thing about Minecraft is, you know, all your friends are like building the entire base up, and then you log on, you're like, wait, what did y'all do? It looks so different.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, thank you so much for humoring us, gymnasts, and taking the time to show us these extra places in the game. I truly appreciate it. And do you have anything else to add? I guess any shout outs or anything that you'd like to mention?
Only I guess general ones, you know, shout outs to the Ocarina of Time 3D speedrunning community for all the amazing work they've done in this game, or at least have done in the past. The community is a bit quiet right now, just because everyone's kind of focusing on other things. The 3DS community is pretty small, mostly because it's a 3DS game. which are notoriously hard to capture for. So,
Oh, yeah.
shout-outs to all of those guys and gals who are in that community.
Awesome.
And also just, once again, shout-outs to Zelda Cubed for having the record in the 80% category. It's a very good run. I would recommend that if anyone gets the time to watch it, you do, because it shows off just how crazy you can get at this game, especially with the quick text.
Well, thank you so much, Gymnast, for humoring us, answering my questions, and showing off Ocarina of Time for the 3DS. If you enjoyed the run, everybody, please make sure you follow at twitch.tv/gymnast86. I'm sure you'll be seeing maybe more Zelda speedruns.
Yes, there will be Zelda speedruns of many varieties.
Well, thank you again so much. Everyone, stick around. Next game is Cat Quest 2, and we'll be right back.